Hey, this is Ralph, and in this video I want to use Excel to see what the impact of a recession early in retirement versus later in retirement would be. So I've got a buddy at work who might be retiring in a few years, and we've talked about, gee, what happens if there's a recession right when you retire versus just before you retire. So let's see, I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to have a retirement fund right there, and let's go and make it nice and big. How about 1.8 million, and let's go ahead and do an annual draw. Now this is going to be a pretty crude calculator here. I'm not assuming inflation and stuff like that. We'll just keep it super simple so we can compare A versus B. All right, now I'm going to put this over here. Let's see, I'm going to have the year and the return. We'll do random annual returns and the balance. There we go. So let's see, year one, year two. And I'm going to go ahead and select these, and I'm going to autofill down. Let's get to about 30 years of retirement. Great. Now the return is going to be equals rand between, let's do 1 comma 9. We'll do 1% to 9%. Divide that by 100. And that'll get us return. Double click that fill handle to get all those other return rates. Let's see. There we go. Now my balance, let's see, first year for the balance is going to be equal to my retirement fund, F4, times the return plus the retirement fund, F4, minus the annual draw, F4. Make that absolute. There we go. And the second one, that's going to be equal to the previous balance times that annual return plus the previous balance minus the annual draw, make that absolute. And then once I've got that second one, I can auto fill it down. There we go. And I'm going to take this, I want to display that ending balance right up here, so we'll just have that equal to whatever that cell is, F33. So now we've got that. Now I'm going to take this whole chunk, put my cursor anywhere on the border, hold down my control key, drag that over. So now we've got two calculators left and right. Ooh, to really make this stand out to us too, I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I want to be on the home ribbon, and I'm going to set a conditional formatting, highlight cells. I want this cell to be greater than the other balance, and I'll make that green. And then I'll click on this one, conditional formatting, highlight cells, greater than the other balance, make that green. There we go. So now as I recalculate, one of these two would be green. Now everything is equal. Of course, they're going to get different returns. Now normally I would press my F9 key here, but my F9 key is taken over by my recording software. F9 will recalculate. So I'm just going to jump over to the formulas ribbon, and I'll click calculate now. And you can see as I keep recalculating annual returns, yeah, it goes back and forth. Sometimes scenario 2 is better, sometimes scenario 1 is better. Really shouldn't be any difference, and if I did this a billion times, it should pretty much come out 50-50 on which one is better. But let's throw a little wrench into the works. For scenario 2, I'm going to put in a negative 20% return and a negative 20% return for the first couple years. So that's a 2-year recession, big drop in the markets, big effect. Now, of course, doing that, as I recalculate now, we're always going to see scenario A being the better one because it's not taking those big hits. Now, what if we go to scenario A, and let's also do a recession, but let's stick it right down here after 20 years into retirement. Negative 20%. Negative 20%. So we've got recession early versus recession later. And as I keep recalculating those random returns, notice that my scenario A is still always going to be better. I'm just clicking that F9 button or the recalculate button over and over. And basically it's that recession in those first couple years that's the big hit. Well, what if, let's continue that rand between down there. What if the recession is maybe in years 5 and 6? Negative 20%, negative 20%. So now our two scenarios, we have a recession 5 years into retirement, or we have the recession the very first year into retirement. And I'm going to start calculating now, getting those random returns. And notice it's still that left scenario. Ooh, occasionally though, it is scenario 2 or scenario B, but for the most part, our scenario 1 is going to be the better option there. Now, of course, what does this mean to you? Well, we don't know when those recessions are going to occur. However, if you can control your retirement, it's probably best if you retire right at the tail end of a recession, because then you have a slightly higher confidence that the next few years are going to be positive versus, say 2 years into recession, then all of a sudden there's 1 year of good and then a 2 or 3 year recession. Just another simple way to use Excel to kind of look at a couple scenarios. And I know we're not dealing with realistic returns. We've only got a couple of negative years, but also there's no big years, big gainer years either. And annual draw is staying flat. But still, when you're comparing two scenarios, doing an A-B analysis or A-B comparison, it's nice to keep a lot of the details fixed and simple so that you can look at just one or two variables to see what that is. And in this case, the variables are what happens with a recession in the first year of retirement versus a recession later in retirement. So get to work on your Excel calculator. Thanks for hanging out with me.